In this video, we combine some of the most disturbing freediving tragedies we've covered on this channel so far. From divers who pushed their limits too far, to divers who disappeared without a trace. If you enjoy watching these videos, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more exciting diving stories like these. This is the story of a multiple world record holder and the former president of the Russian Freedive Federation, Natalia Molchanova. She was regarded as the world's greatest freediver, but she mysteriously disappeared while giving private freediving lessons on an island in Spain. Natalia Molchanova was born on May 8, 1962. From a very young age, she began training to be a competitive swimmer. However, when she was around 20 years old, she decided to semi-retire to start a family. Natalia proved to be a dedicated and loving mother to her two children, Oksana and Alexei. As Alexei grew up, he followed in his mother's footsteps and became an accomplished world champion freediver in his own right. Despite dedicating 20 years to being a caring mother, Natalia's passion for the water never faded. At the age of 40, she decided to resume her training and transition from swimming to freediving. Natalia's achievements extended beyond her skills in the water. She held a PhD in pedagogical science and served as an associate professor at the Russian State University of Physical Culture, Sport, and Tourism. Her knowledge and expertise in the field were highly regarded. After some time, Natalia found a new role as freediving instructor at the Russian State University. She shared her vast experience and knowledge with aspiring freedivers, inspiring and guiding them on their paths to success in the sport. Notably, Alexei, her son, also made a name for himself as a prominent freediving competitor, following in his mother's footsteps once again. Natalia's journey in freediving began with the 2003 Russian Championships in Moscow. It was here that she made her mark, setting a national record. Soon after, she astonished everyone with not just one, but two Russian national records in April, one for static apnea and another for dynamic apnea. But she didn't stop there. In only her second competition, the Sony Freediver Classic Open in Cyprus, she achieved a remarkable world record in dynamic apnea, reaching an impressive 492 feet. As 2004 rolled in, Natalia continued to shine. She reset her own dynamic apnea world record, this time reaching an even greater distance of 508 feet. She also decided to shift her focus from pool records to depth records, collecting a series of European continental records along the way. However, it was 2005 that Natalia truly soared to new heights. It became her most successful year yet as she accomplished an astounding feat, setting not one, not two, but 9 world records in 6 different disciplines of freediving. These disciplines included static apnea, dynamic apnea no fins, free immersion, constant weight, and constant weight no fins. With these remarkable achievements, there was no doubt that Natalia had become a new superwoman in the world of freediving, capturing the awe and admiration of all who witnessed her incredible skills. Throughout her career, Natalia proved to be a consistent and exceptional performer, continuously setting new records. In the year 2006, she achieved an impressive feat, setting 3 world records and winning the gold medal in the Team World Championships. The following year, 2007, she outdid herself again, securing 3 more world records to her name. A significant moment in Natalia's journey occurred during the 2007 Freediving World Championships held in Maribor, Slovenia. Her outstanding performance in the static discipline not only won her the championship, but also surpassed the winning male gold medal time. This extraordinary accomplishment showcased her exceptional skills and talents, making her a standout figure in the world of freediving. As she ventured into the year 2008, Natalia continued to shine brightly. Adding to her list of achievements, she also earned another gold medal in the Team World Championships that year. The year 2009 proved to be no different for Natalia. Yet again, she attained 3 world records, solidifying her position as one of the top freedivers in the world. In addition to her remarkable achievements in the World Championships, she also collected several gold medals in various individual competitions. In an impressive dive in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, she accomplished something no woman had done before. She became the first female freediver to surpass the 328-foot mark, reaching an incredible depth of 328 feet with constant weight diving. Until the year 2010, Natalya had not yet conquered the discipline known as variable weight, made famous by the film The Big Blue, despite her relentless pursuit of setting records. However, in 2010, she achieved a significant milestone by reaching a depth of 410 feet in variable weight, surpassing the record that had been held by Tanya Streeter for 7 years at that time. It didn't end there. Natalya's impressive record-breaking journey continued in 2011 and 2012, with more depth world records falling under her name. Notably, she managed to reset the variable weight record to an astonishing depth of 416 feet. As her list of accomplishments grew, Natalya's reputation as a freediving machine was firmly established. Many of her new records involve surpassing her previous achievements. In 2013, one of Natalya's proudest moments came when she participated in the Individual Pool World Championships in Belgrade. There, she won 3 gold medals. Adding to the uniqueness of this achievement, she proudly revealed that she had received congratulations from none other than the Russian President, Vladimir Putin, acknowledging her remarkable talents and accomplishments. Altogether, Natalya's incredible journey in freediving led her to set an astounding 41 world records. In addition, she received an impressive total of 20 individual gold medals and 3 team gold medals at the Freediving World Championships. Her ability to hold her breath for over 9 minutes, that is 9 minutes and 2 seconds, further ascertains her position as one of the most exceptional and accomplished freedivers in history. In August 2015, Natalya traveled to the Balearic Islands to give private freediving lessons to a Russian property developer named Pavel Tayo and at least one other person. They used Pavel's luxurious yacht named Pumpkin to go to Formentera, a nearby island. Once they reached there, they went about 2 miles away from the shore. Among the group, Natalya was the only one with freediving experience. During the lessons for beginners, Natalya used a 65-foot long line in the water, which is a standard length for people who are new to freediving. The students took turns diving down, gradually going deeper with each attempt. Natalya always accompanied her students on these dives. Besides teaching, Natalya also did some freediving on her own, going to unknown depths a few times after the instructional dives. Unfortunately, during one of her solo dives after the training session, she went down but didn't resurface, even though she had only gone to a depth of around 114 feet in favorable conditions and without any apparent issues. Upon witnessing the situation, the crew on board the Pumpkin immediately got in touch with the Spanish Coast Guard and sent more boats to search for her. Soon after, a helicopter joined the search and carefully scanned the area from above, while the Coast Guard authorities meticulously searched the region, hoping to find any sign of Natalya. As time passed, they expanded the search to underwater areas. To aid in the search efforts, they used a robot to explore further and work with a specialized team of divers from the Guardia Civil. However, on the 3rd day, the Spanish rescue services had to make the tough decision to stop the underwater search for Natalya. The place where she had been diving was known for its strong currents and heavy boat traffic, and the water temperature dropped rapidly as divers went deeper. Even the most skilled divers could face difficulties in such a challenging environment. The fate of Natalya is still a mystery, and there's no definite information about what happened to her in the deep waters. We can only guess what might have occurred. One possibility is that the strong currents in that area might have carried her away. Another speculation is that she might have lost consciousness during her dive, which could have led to her unfortunate situation. Usually, freedivers have spotters underwater to ensure their safety during the dive. However, Natalia didn't have any spotters with her because she was the only experienced diver in her group. This lack of spotters could have made things more challenging and uncertain for her. The exact reason for Natalia's passing remains unknown, leaving everyone with unanswered questions. Freediving offers a unique way to experience the underwater world. If you've ever swam underwater and held your breath, you had a taste of what freediving is like. With freediving, you can dive deeper, stay submerged for longer, and feel like you're truly part of the ocean. It's a wonderful way to connect with the sea and explore the depths of the ocean with minimal impact on the environment. For some people, freediving is a personal challenge, but for many, its real fascination lies in the peace and tranquility it brings to their busy lives. However, despite its apparent simplicity, freediving requires knowledge about safety and how the body reacts to underwater pressure. Without proper training, a freediver risks ear, sinus, and lung injuries, blackouts, and even the possibility of drowning. So it's crucial to learn the necessary skills and safety measures before attempting freediving. Professional freedivers use their body's diving adaptations to go to depths of over 656 feet in a single breath. These adaptations, known as the diving reflexes, help save oxygen by reducing blood flow to the arms and legs, preserving it for the vital organs. Without any breathing apparatus, freedivers can swim to extreme depths underwater, with the current record being 702 feet. Champions in freediving can hold their breath for incredibly long periods, with the record for women being 9 minutes and for men being 11 minutes. If you were to climb Mount Everest without additional support, relying only on the air for breathing and wearing protective clothing, you could manage to reach the summit at around 5.5 miles above sea level. However, things change significantly when you venture into the ocean due to rapid pressure differences. Just descending 32 feet into the ocean subjects you to an additional atmosphere of pressure, which is twice the pressure you experience at the surface. For every additional 32 feet of depth, the pressure increases by another atmosphere. When you dive deep into the ocean, it starts to affect your body anatomy and physiology in significant ways, making it a uniquely challenging experience. The pressure of the deep water not only compresses your body and reduces the air spaces within, but it also changes how gases behave in your bloodstream and how they impact everything, including your nervous system. There are different approaches to freediving called depth disciplines. Let's examine some of the major ones. Constant weight, or CWT, is the most common type of freediving, where the diver goes up and down vertically along a dive rope, using a monofin or bifin and/or arm movements. The rope cannot be used for pulling, and the diver can only hold on to it once while turning at the bottom to prepare for the ascent. In CWT, the diver cannot change the amount of weight used during the dive. Constant weight without fins, or CNF, is more challenging. Divers rely solely on their muscle strength to propel themselves down and back up. They usually descend using a breaststroke technique similar to what swimmers do. Like in CWT, the diver can't pull on the rope or change the weight used. CNF is considered the hardest of the 3 competitive depth disciplines. Free immersion, or FIM, is a lot like constant weight without fins because the diver can't change the weight used during the dive and can't use any propulsion equipment. But in FIM, the diver can pull on the guide rope to go down and come back up. FIM is seen as a more relaxing discipline because it's relatively easy to learn. The diver can go down in head-down or head-up positions, and they can go down slowly if they want. It's also great for practicing equalization, which helps balance the pressure in the ears and sinuses during the dive. Variable weight is a different discipline where freedivers can change the amount of weight used during both going down and coming up. They can use a sled to go down and then come back up to the surface with the help of a monofin, bifin, or by using their upper body strength to pull themselves up the rope. No limits is the deepest type of freediving. In this discipline, the diver uses a sled or other heavy weight to quickly go down in the water. Then to come back up, The diver uses a buoyancy device like a balloon or a vest with inflatable compartments. Since the freediver doesn't need to use their energy to go down and up, this discipline mainly relies on having a good equalization technique and being able to handle the pressure. Nicholas Lawrence, a passionate and record-breaking freediver, decided to embark on breaking another national record in the free immersion category in the Vertical Blue event, where he would dive without wearing fins. He aimed to get to 315 feet, but at 223 feet, he started having trouble, which threatened not only his record-breaking attempt, but his life. Freediving, also known as breath hold diving or skin diving, is an underwater diving technique that relies on holding one's breath instead of using breathing apparatus like scuba gear. It involves descending into the water and resurfacing without assistance from external air sources. Freedivers who are considered extreme athletes can descend more than 328 feet, equivalent to the height of a 30-story building, without relying on an oxygen tank. At such depths, the diver's heart rate starts to decrease, their blood vessels constrict, and their lungs compress to the size of oranges due to the immense water pressure they experience. Vertical Blue, known as the prestigious Tournament of Freediving, is an annual championship event that draws the most accomplished athletes in the sport. Renowned freediver William Trubridge and his team are responsible for organizing this competition. Since 2008, they have been hosting freediving contests at a remarkable location known as Dean's Blue Hole, situated on Long Island, Bahamas. This narrow hole plunges to a depth of 663 feet and ranks among the deepest underwater caves globally. Nicholas Lawrence Mavoli, age 32, was born in Dunedin, Florida, and resided in Brooklyn, New York. He pursued a career as a prop technician within the film and television industry, based in New York, contributing his skills to notable productions such as the CW series Gossip Girl and the Comedy Central series Chappelle's Show. Additionally, he was actively involved with Rising Sun Performance Company, where he showcased his talents as an actor, technician, and writer. In 2004, he played a leading role in the independent film Exist. Nicholas ventured into competitive freediving in 2012, marking the beginning of his journey in the sport. He achieved success by claiming the title at Deja Blue, a similar competition held that year in the Cayman Islands. His skills continued to shine as he emerged victorious once again in 2014 in Curacao. Furthermore, he secured a commendable third-place finish at the Caribbean Cup, an event dominated by William Trubridge, the owner of Vertical Blue, in Roatan, Honduras. Nicholas also earned a bronze medal in the constant weight without fins category at the World Championships held in Greece. In May 2013, Nicholas accomplished a groundbreaking achievement by becoming the first unassisted American diver to reach a depth of 328 feet. During this remarkable dive, he utilized a monofin and completed the feat in 3 minutes and 45 seconds. This particular form of freediving uses a sled to enable divers to reach depths beyond their limits. Following his record-breaking performance and fast rise in the sport, Nicholas arrived in the Bahamas with confidence and an ambitious goal in mind: to establish another national record. This time, he set his sights on the free immersion category, where he aimed to reach a depth of 315 feet. During the Vertical Blue tournament held on November 13, 2013, a total of 34 athletes from 16 different countries participated in the event. The athletes engaged in 3 distinct categories of competition. The first category, constant weight, involved divers utilizing a monofin and employing dolphin kicking techniques to descend to depth. In the second category, free immersion, competitors relied on a rope to pull themselves down and ascend back to the surface without the use of fins. This is the most challenging and demanding category that Nicholas wanted to undertake. Next is the constant wait without fins, where participants dive without the assistance of any fins whatsoever. Nicholas was lying on his back, floating in the beautiful blue sea, trying to relax. He could hear his breaths as he prepared to dive into Dean's blue hole. His goal was to reach a depth of 236 feet in just one breath without using fins or extra oxygen. He started taking deep breaths, trying to fill his lungs with as much oxygen as he could. At 12:25 p.m., with 15 other athletes and observers, as well as 5 safety divers around him, he turned and went underwater. He dived face first, resembling a human arrow plunging into the darkness. The officials at Vertical Blue were using sonar to closely track and report Nicholas's progress. Everything was going well until he encountered difficulties at a depth of 223 feet and appeared to be turning back. However, instead of heading to the surface, he chose to dive down again to try and reach his goal and set a new American record. Some of his fellow athletes felt uneasy, realizing that his decision was not the safest one. This is because diving to such depths without fins is physically demanding and dangerous. Despite most likely experiencing significant discomfort, Nicholas chose not to ask for assistance and managed to reach the surface on his own after a dive that lasted 3 minutes and 38 seconds. However, the situation quickly turned horrifying. He quickly removed his goggles, still giving the OK sign, and tried to complete the required surface protocol to make his attempt official by saying, "I am okay." Unfortunately, he was not okay. His speech was unclear, and his eyes were wide and empty. More than 30 seconds later, he fell backward into the ocean and lost consciousness. While it's not uncommon for athletes in this sport to lose consciousness for a few seconds, Nicholas's situation seemed to last much longer, which was deeply concerning and unfortunate for him. Without delay, 5 safety divers, including an Australian paramedic, who were all certified in life support techniques, lifted Nicholas onto a nearby platform. The event physician, Barbara Jeschke, immediately began her efforts to revive him. One of the safety divers, Marco Cosentino, who was responsible for assisting competitors in distress during different stages of the dive, noticed an issue with Nicholas's lung and urgently informed the others. They promptly turned Nicholas onto his side, and blood started flowing from his mouth, forming a pool on the platform before blending into the sea. Initially, some speculated that he had ruptured his left eardrum, but Barbara, the event physician, conducted a physical examination and determined that his ear was intact. Instead, it was discovered that he had experienced an upper respiratory squeeze, which occurs when the body's capillaries burst due to the pressure exerted at great depths. It is not uncommon for athletes to emerge from dives with nosebleeds, and in this competition, several athletes experienced sinus or tracheal squeezes but were still allowed to compete the following day. Initially, Nicholas had a pulse, sometimes weak and sometimes stronger. However, within 15 minutes, his pulse ceased. The team quickly removed his wetsuit and initiated vigorous cardiopulmonary resuscitation efforts. Despite administering 3 shots of adrenaline on site, the attempts to revive Nicholas remained unsuccessful for the next 90 minutes. Nicholas was transported from the platform to the beach using a bodyboard and then carefully placed into a Honda station wagon, which served as a makeshift ambulance for the event. The journey to the Vid Sims Memorial Health Center, operated by American missionaries, took approximately 10 minutes. Throughout the ride, the safety team, led by Ren Chapman, Joe Knight, and Barbara, took turns administering CPR. Upon reaching the clinic, they were joined by a local doctor, and the resuscitation efforts continued. Within a few minutes of Nicholas's arrival at the clinic, fellow athletes and their families started gathering there. This close-knit community, always supportive of one another, found solace under a young jacaranda tree on a grassy patch, with a view of the vast ocean in the distance. Some joined hands in prayer, seeking comfort and strength, while others offered consoling embraces. According to an eyewitness, Nicholas suffered from pulmonary edema, and approximately 800 cubic centimeters of fluid were drained from his lungs. Sadly, at around 1:44 p.m., he was declared deceased. Ren Chapman, who had a close relationship with Nicholas for 3 years, engaging in training, sailing, and traveling together, emerged from the clinic shirtless, with his wetsuit hanging from his waist. With a voice filled with emotion, he addressed the gathering, expressing their wishes for Nicholas on his new journey. "He died doing what he loved to do, and I know that," Ren said, his voice trembling. Within 2 hours, Nicholas's body was transported by plane to Nassau, where it awaited an autopsy. As stated by the International Association for the Development of Apnea, the governing body of the sport, Nicholas's passing marks the first instance of an athlete losing their life in international competition throughout the organization's 21-year history. His friends and family mourned his loss, reflecting not only on his courageous nature, but also on his selfless acts. It was mentioned that the previous year, Nicholas chose to forgo staying in a hotel or rental house and instead slept in a local church that had been damaged by a hurricane. As a devoted Roman Catholic and the son of a mother and brother to 5 sisters, he dedicated himself not only to his training, but also to assisting in the church's reconstruction, actively participating in the building process and helping to complete a new roof. Grant Graves, the lead judge overseeing the event, remarked, "He was universally loved, highlighting the widespread admiration and affection that surrounded Nicholas." The world of diving has forever been synonymous with the realm of extreme sports. It is a realm where split-second decisions can be the difference between success and failure, between triumph and tragedy. The very essence of diving lies in the combination of skill, courage, and pushing the limits of human capability. Just like some beloved divers, Nicholas paid a painful price for his decision. So, dear divers, on your next adventure, live to dive again. The Dahab Blue Hole is a very famous place to visit in Sinai, Egypt. It's a deep hole in the sea called a sinkhole, and it's located near the town of Dahab. It's about 6 miles north of Dahab in the Sinai Peninsula of Egypt. The Blue Hole is a popular spot for diving on the coast of the Red Sea. It's like a long, narrow street of water that's 295 feet long and 164 feet wide. It's also very deep, at about 393 feet. There's a smaller opening at the top called the Saddle, which is about 19 feet wide, and there's another opening at the bottom called the Arch, which is like a long tunnel that's about 85 feet long. Geologists think this hole was formed thousands of years ago when the last ice age was ending and the ice was melting. This large hole is known as a fantastic place for scuba diving and snorkeling. It's popular because there's a beautiful coral reef in the shallow lagoon around its edge. The wall of the hole is also covered in hard coral formations, and there are many different kinds of marine life living there. However, it's not a good place for beginners. You need to have a lot of confidence and really good diving skills to go there. People often call it the diver's cemetery because it's very dangerous. In the last 15 years, over 130 people have gone missing while exploring this hole, which is why it's like a cemetery for divers. Even though there are more and more plaques hanging on the cliff to remember those who never came back, thousands of people still come here every year without being afraid. Stephen Keenan, a 39-year-old man who grew up near Dublin, Ireland, discovered his passion for the sport while on vacation in Dahab in 2009. He loved it so much that he decided to move there and dedicate his life to it. He learned the Arabic language, becoming a freediving instructor, and taught many students in Egypt, Spain, and the Philippines. In 2015, Stephen, along with Miguel Lozano from Spain, who is one of the deepest freedivers in the world, and Pascal Berger from Switzerland, founded Dahab Freedivers. During that year, Stephen achieved his personal best dive of 267 feet using a monofin, which is much deeper than most scuba divers can go. However, he became well known for his role as a safety diver, prioritizing the safety of other divers. To successfully organize freediving competitions, a committed team of 4 to 5 safety divers is essential. While diving itself is usually not a problem, the process of coming back up to the surface can be challenging. Competitors who have been underwater for over 2 minutes face a drop in the amount of oxygen in their blood, which increases the risk of experiencing a blackout. In most cases during freediving competitions, the deep safety diver will meet the diver at a depth of 100 feet. Another safety diver will join them at 66 feet, and a third one at 33 feet. Together, the 4 divers will swim back up to the surface. Throughout the ascent, the safety divers closely observe the diver for any signs that they may be losing consciousness or about to experience a blackout. If the diver does pass out, 1 or more safety divers will cover the diver's nose and mouth to prevent water from entering their lungs. They will then bring the diver to the surface and revive them. This is usually done by blowing on their eyelids and calling their name. If necessary, mouth-to-mouth rescue breaths may be given. When these emergency techniques are applied correctly, the diver should regain consciousness. In 2017, a 25-year-old Italian named Alessia Zecchini traveled to Dahab Freedivers for training. She knew Steven from a previous event called Vertical Blue, and they had a good connection. Steven was her coach at the time, helping her prepare for the World Championship in Roatan. Alessia had the goal of crossing the arch without using fins. Steven took charge of organizing the entire plan, since he had already organized similar crossings of the arch in the past and had done it himself. To support Alessia during this dive, Steven assembled a team that included Lily Crespi and other members associated with Dahab Freedivers, such as instructors and experienced freedivers. They rehearsed everything meticulously, including the timing for descending and the timing for crossing the distance of the arch. The whole process was well planned, with each team member assigned specific roles and knowing what their responsibilities were. On July 22, 2017, Alessia prepared herself for the dive and started it. She descended smoothly according to plan, and the timing was just right. As she began crossing beneath the arch, there were 2 technical divers present to film her. Steven had informed Alessia that the tech divers would be on her left side, so she was advised to swim close to the reef wall on her right to avoid any collision with them. Alessia followed the instructions given to her and stayed near the reef wall as advised. Since it was her first time crossing the arch, she wasn't familiar with the exact location in advance. As a result, she didn't notice any change in the lighting or any indication that she had exited the arch. Unaware of this, she continued swimming along the reef wall on her right side. She started veering slightly to the right and away from the rope that was in the middle or slightly to the left. This was the first deviation from the plan. Additionally, because the arch was located at a depth of around 164 to 180 feet, Alessia was negatively buoyant, which means she was heavier than the water and tended to sink. Consequently, she swam a bit faster than was initially practiced in the bay, causing her to exit the arch earlier than expected. Steven had the role of first safety diver during the activity. To ensure safety, they placed a buoy with a rope at the exit point of the area called the arch. The buoy and rope were positioned in the middle of the exit. Steven's responsibility was to be present at the buoy before Alessia exited the arch. This was important in case Alessia didn't notice the rope or needed assistance finding it. Steven had to be there a few seconds early, make a sound to get Alessia's attention, and guide her toward the rope. Once they reached the surface, Steven would pull the rope strongly a couple of times to signal Lily, who would be the second safety at 82 feet below. Additionally, there would be a third safety person positioned at around 49 to 66 feet. Lily had the responsibility of counting down for Steve's dive with variable weight, and they had planned and coordinated everything accordingly. People positioned in the blue hole were signaling them from the surface to let them know when Alessia had begun her dive. This signal was crucial for Lily to start the countdown at the right time for Steve's dive. As Lily began the countdown for Steve, he suddenly asked for an additional 10 seconds. Lily didn't understand why, but she agreed to his request. In those moments, it was difficult to ask questions because Steven was getting ready for a challenging dive, and it was important not to disrupt his preparations or breathing exercises. After the countdown, Steven began his descent. However, he was delayed by 10 seconds, causing him to reach the bottom later than anticipated. By the time he arrived, Alessia had already moved quite far from the rope. Steven quickly swam to catch up with her. Realizing the situation, he decided it wasn't worth swimming back to the rope. Instead, they started descending right there in the open water. Alessia didn't have fins, so she swam without them, while Steven followed her using his fins. There was a photographer positioned at a depth of 131 feet who was supposed to capture their ascent. However, she noticed that something unusual was happening. During the initial part of the ascent, Alessia swam on her own while Steven accompanied and supported her. Toward the end of the ascent, Steven assisted her by holding her hips and helping her swim back to the surface. Alessia was experiencing some oxygen deprivation. However, due to the strong current, they were pushed far away during their swim upward. They ended up at the saddle, which is a bit distant from the exit point of the arch. It took some time for Alessia to notice that Steve was facing downward on the surface, not moving or breathing. She reacted quickly, turning him around, and they started seeking help. However, there was a large group of snorkelers in the same area who were making a lot of noise and splashing around. This made it difficult for the rest of the team to realize that Alessia and Steve were in trouble. They were confused about their whereabouts. Lily went down as planned but couldn't find anyone. She started to panic and became extremely worried, searching everywhere on the surface. It took some time for them to realize that Alessia and Steve were far away from their intended location and had no idea how they ended up there or what had happened. The team of people who were present at the start of the dive in the blue hole were the first to arrive. They began swimming back to the shore with Steve, who was unconscious. They performed rescue breaths and did everything they could to help him. Meanwhile, Lily was swimming, trying to catch up with them while carrying an oxygen tank. Eventually, she reached them inside the blue hole. They borrowed one of the buoys from another person who was there to support Steve, and Lily started administering rescue breaths with oxygen. A lot of foam was coming out, indicating a serious condition. Realizing that it was not effective to continue rescue efforts in the water, they decided to swim towards the shore while still providing Steve with rescue breaths using oxygen. Once they reached the shore, they performed CPR on him. Unfortunately, ambulances were not permitted to go all the way to the blue hole and wait there. They had to stop at the taxi parking area. They placed Steve in a taxi and brought the taxi to where the ambulance was located. From there, the ambulance transported him to the hospital. Sadly, despite their efforts, Steven did not recover at the hospital. The freediving community felt a deep sadness after Steven's passing, and many people expressed their emotions on Facebook throughout the weekend. Athletes, freediving experts, Steven's students, and even his neighbors shared personal memories of Keenan, who was known for his joyful smile. All diving enthusiasts need to remember that no matter how experienced or knowledgeable you may be, everyone is vulnerable, and accidents can happen. So, dear divers, I sincerely hope that you have safe and secure dives during your future explorations. Many would go against all odds in pursuit of their passion, and Audrey Mestre, a French world record-setting freediver, was one of them. After breaking a previous deep dive record, she decided to break it again, all in the span of 1 month. However, trouble started when a dive that should have taken no more than 3 minutes was extended. Bahia Bay Beach is a remarkable and serene destination positioned to the southeast of La Romana. It encompasses tranquil and intimate beaches that provide a peaceful escape from bustling areas. These beaches are embraced by the beauty of coconut and palm trees. The beach itself is situated approximately 1.2 miles away from the town, where visitors can indulge in various dining options and enjoy the vibrant ambiance of bars. Originally established as a fishing village in 1874 by Juan Brito and his family, who migrated from Puerto Rico, Bahia Ibe has now transformed into a popular tourist spot. Scuba diving is undeniably the primary attraction for tourists in Bahia Ibe, making it the premier scuba diving destination in the Dominican Republic. The main beach area is dotted with numerous scuba diving shops that facilitate exploration of the diverse dive sites in the vicinity. With over 20 designated dive sites close to Bahia Ibe, enthusiasts can easily access them through the available dive boats. Audrey Mestre, born on August 11, 1974, was a notable freediver from France who achieved world records in her field. Hailing from Saint-Denis, Saint-Denis, she grew up in a family passionate about snorkeling and scuba diving. Audrey's love for swimming emerged at an early age, even as a baby. By the time she turned 13, she had already acquired substantial experience as a scuba diver, although she had to wait until her 16th birthday to obtain full certification in compliance with French regulations. During her teenage years, Audrey's family relocated to Mexico City, where she further developed her skills and fluently embraced the Spanish language. Eventually, her pursuit of knowledge led her to pursue marine biology studies at a university situated in La Paz, Mexico. In 1996, Audrey Mestre's fascination with underwater sports led her to cross paths with Francisco Pippin Ferreras, an accomplished freediver. Their connection grew, prompting Mestre to decide to relocate to Miami, Florida, where she joined Pippin in embarking on a dedicated journey into the realm of freediving. Under Pippin's tutelage, she rapidly achieved impressive depths in her dives. In 1999, the two diving enthusiasts tied the knot, and the subsequent year witnessed Audrey Mestre's groundbreaking achievement off the coast of Fort Lauderdale. She shattered the existing female world record by freediving to an astonishing depth of 410 feet, accomplished solely on a single breath of air. Not content with this feat alone, Mestre went on to surpass her record the following year, pushing her limits even further as she descended to an incredible depth of 427 feet. In October 2002, Audrey Mestre made the daring decision to make an early bid to break the world record for the deepest no-limits freedive, which had been recently set by Tanya Streeter on August 17, 2002, at a depth of 524 feet. Under the careful supervision of her husband, Pippin Ferreras, and supported by a dedicated dive team, Audrey embarked on her journey. On October 4, 2002, she undertook a practice dive off the shores of Bahia Ibe Beach in the Dominican Republic, accomplishing a remarkable depth of 545 feet, setting a new personal record. With further intensive training and deep dive preparations, Audrey aimed to push her limits even further on October 12th, targeting a breathtaking descent to a depth of 561 feet. When the scheduled day arrived, she was prepared to surpass her previous achievement once more. Accompanied by her team members Pippin and Pascal, she was fully equipped and ready. During freediving, a diver descends using a ballast weight, typically a sled that can bear up to a third of its body weight. These sleds are specifically designed for the diver to descend in a feet-first position. Frequently, the diver holds on to the sled as it descends along a line, reaching significant depths. When it comes to ascending, the most commonly utilized aid is inflatable lifting bags or vests with compartments that can be inflated, enabling a rapid ascent to the surface. Before she started to dive, Audrey displayed a strong focus and showed no signs of excessive stress or discomfort. From 1 minute and 43 seconds to 8 minutes and 38 seconds, Audrey continued without any signs of distress. Approximately 1 minute and 34 seconds into the dive, when Audrey reached a depth of 521 feet, Pascal tapped his tank to signal his approach to Audrey. His purpose was to provide support during her ascent. As Audrey initiated her ascent, everything remained normal up until that level. At around 1 minute and 59 seconds into her ascent, at a depth of 554 feet, Audrey continued to progress strongly without seeking assistance from Pascal. However, as Audrey reached the depth of 541 feet, her ascent encountered obstacles, and she faced difficulties ascending smoothly. In an attempt to aid a smooth ascent, she opened the valve on the air tank to inflate the lift or ascent bag, which should lift her rapidly to the surface. Unfortunately, the cylinder was depleted of air, rendering her efforts ineffective. Recognizing the situation, Pascal endeavored to supplement Audrey's lift bag with his air supply. However, due to insufficient inflation, a strong current, and the non-vertical position of Audrey's rope, the bag failed to rise rapidly enough. Despite these challenges, Audrey remained composed and did not request assistance. Upon reaching a depth of 540 feet, Audrey commenced a steady ascent. Pascal attentively observed Audrey rising above him for a brief duration of 2 to 3 seconds before resuming his ascent alongside her. However, Pascal noticed that Audrey had ascended above him while carrying the ascent bag. While ascending, an unexpected incident occurred as the lift bag abruptly tore on a cable. At the 393-foot mark, approximately 3 minutes and 50 seconds into the dive, Audrey's ascent gradually decelerated, resembling the graceful descent of a falling leaf in autumn. Suddenly, Audrey lost consciousness. She descended for just 15 seconds before Pascal Bernabe intercepted her at a depth of 406 feet. It was at this moment that Pascal realized that Audrey was unconscious. Due to this unforeseen development, it became unsafe for Pascal to continue ascending, prompting him to prepare for transferring Audrey. What was initially expected to be a dive lasting no longer than 3 minutes extended her time underwater to over 8.5 minutes. Concerned about his wife's well-being, Audrey's husband, equipped with scuba gear, descended to investigate the situation. Upon reaching an ascent depth of 291 feet, Pascal transferred Audrey to Pippin for the final stage of the ascent. He was heartbroken to see his beloved wife unconscious, and he tried reviving her to no avail. After successfully bringing her unconscious body to the surface, it was discovered that Audrey still had a pulse. Unfortunately, the absence of available medical doctors resulted in precious minutes being wasted, coupled with the fact that Pippin attempted to revive her in the water. Eventually, the window of opportunity closed, and she was officially declared deceased upon arrival at a hospital on shore. On October 13, 2002, Dr. Daniel Moquet Mendez and Dr. Ana Follette Mercedes performed the autopsy, as documented in the records of the Dominican Republic. The autopsy report specifies the examination of blood and urine samples, which revealed the absence of alcohol or drugs. Additionally, the report mentions the observation of enlarged lungs, a characteristic that is not unusual for a highly skilled freediver. The tragic incident involving Audrey Mestre was not caused by a single factor, but rather a combination of various elements related to technology and ocean conditions that occurred on October 12th. One contributing factor was the implementation of a new, thinner diameter cable for this particular dive. The purpose of this modification was to reduce friction with the sled. However, in this dive, the reduced weight of the new cable, along with a different type of weight at the bottom, caused the cable to shift sideways, as observed by Kim McCoy. This effect was not fully evident during training dives, as the weather conditions at the time were excellent. However, on the day of the world record attempt, the weather was stormy and significantly windier than during the preceding 2 weeks of training. Although the waves themselves were not severe enough to warrant cancellation, they seemingly increased the movement of the cable, resulting in several interruptions during the ascent. One of these interruptions occurred at a depth of 538 feet, where the sled remained stationary for approximately 30 seconds, neither ascending nor descending. Another significant factor was the observed sideways drift of the bottom weight. While most dives utilize a lead weight, a concrete weight was employed in this particular occasion. Furthermore, wings were attached to the camera attached to the sled to prevent rotation during the descent. However, these wings unintentionally generated a lateral force that persisted as the sled descended further along the cable. The combination of the lateral force from the wings, the varying density of the bottom weight, and the reduced cable drag resulted in an insufficient tension on the cable and further drift of the bottom weight. Consequently, both the descent and ascent deviated from a strictly vertical path, causing the sled to advance at a slight incline. There was an indication that the lift bag might have been inadequately inflated or had a leak. It seems that the lift bag did not provide sufficient buoyancy. In response to this observation, Pascal did manage to add some gas to the bag at the beginning of the ascent. It is possible that the compressed air bottle used for inflating the lift bag was not filled, although this alone would not account for all the challenges encountered. There was a certain amount of air in the compressed air bottle. Upon inspection following the accident, the lift bag did exhibit a worn section that could have potentially caused some leakage. However, the amount of air that might have leaked would not have been significant enough to greatly impact the sled's overall performance. To summarize, the unfortunate passing of Audrey Mestre cannot be attributed to a single cause. Numerous factors played a role, and it is plausible that altering any one of them could have prevented the tragic outcome that unfolded. The untimely death of Audrey Mestre has deeply impacted her loved ones, including her husband and parents, as well as her friends and colleagues. The global community of freediving enthusiasts mourns her loss. Loïc Leferme, a diver from France, was born in 1970. He came from a family of swimming champions and had 2 children. In 1999, he established the International Center for Freediving in Nice. Loïc Leferme held the record for being the deepest diver in the world for some time. In 2004, he reached a depth of 561 feet without using any breathing equipment. However, his record was surpassed in August 2006 by Austrian diver Herbert Nietzsche, who went down to 600 feet. Since then, Loïc Leferme had been training hard to try to reclaim his title. On April 11, 2007, Loïc was in a training session in the waters near the southeastern town of Villefranche-sur-Mer. His friend, Cédric Palerme, and other divers accompanied him on their boat. During the training, Loïc decided to dive to a depth of 557 feet and began resurfacing. However, something completely unexpected occurred in that critical moment. As Loïc was ascending, the rope that was supposed to pull him safely to the surface after his practice dive became entangled or caught on something. This unexpected snag created a dangerous situation for Loïc, causing him to experience heart failure. Another diver who was present immediately noticed the situation and took swift action. He quickly dove down to the depths where Loïc was still trapped, approximately 65 feet below the surface. The diver reached Loïc and carefully brought him up to the water's surface. However, upon reaching the surface, it was evident that Loïc had lost consciousness. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, the rescuers quickly initiated emergency procedures. They began administering heart massages to Loïc, desperately trying to revive him and stabilize his condition. They wasted no time in racing towards the nearby city of Nice to seek assistance from the emergency services. They arrived at the emergency facility within 10 minutes. Upon their arrival at the hospital, the medical professionals took over the critical task of trying to resuscitate Loïc. Despite their best efforts and working tirelessly for 45 minutes, they were unfortunately unable to revive him. It was a heartbreaking outcome for everyone involved in the rescue operation, his friends, and the diving community. Alexander Seymour, a 32-year-old man from Frome, was originally from Canada. He worked as a marine biologist and spent his time studying the sharks and rays around the island. He also taught the local fishermen about these creatures. Alexander, who was nicknamed Zeddy, had been working in Africa for 7 years and was well respected by his co-workers for his knowledge and experience in protecting the ocean's resources. As part of his conservation efforts, Alexander worked with a team of divers and used special equipment to put identification tags on tiger sharks. On July 7, 2019, they embarked on a diving expedition near the beautiful island of Sal, which is one of the 10 islands forming Cape Verde. This group, consisting of Alexander and 5 others, was on a working trip to the Pedra de Lum Bay, where they aimed to gather scientific evidence regarding the patterns of sharks. Their mission involved diving into the water and attaching identification markers to tiger sharks as part of their efforts to protect these magnificent creatures. After completing their diving tasks and returning to their boat, Alex decided to make one final dive before concluding their day's work. Little did they know that this dive would take an unfortunate turn. While diving, Alexander experienced a sudden and distressing episode, which ultimately led to his tragic drowning. The circumstances surrounding his episode remain unclear. Following the incident, some time passed before Alexander's lifeless body resurfaced from the depths of the water. The crew, filled with panic and concern, hastily made their way to the shore in order to seek immediate assistance. It was a deeply sorrowful event, and the crew members were devastated by the loss of their colleague and friend. Alexander was brought back to the UK by plane. Later on, a pathologist at the Royal United Hospital conducted an examination of his body. After the examination, the senior Somerset coroner, Mr. Tony Williams, determined that the cause of Alexander's death was barotrauma and drowning. This decision was based on the findings from the post-mortem examination at the hospital in Bath. Alex "Chumpy" Pullen, a 32-year-old Australian, achieved remarkable success in his career. He became a 2-time world champion, one in the snowboard cross event in 2011 at La Molina, and the other in 2013 at the Stoneham World Championship. He also represented Australia as a snowboarder in the 2010, 2014, and 2018 Winter Olympics. His outstanding performances earned him a spot as an Olympic finalist, and he proudly carried the Australian flag during the 2014 Olympic Games in Sochi, Russia. With his exceptional skills, he reached the top spot in the world rankings and won numerous gold medals in World Cup competitions. On July 8, 2020, Alex decided to go spearfishing near an artificial reef off Palm Beach on the Gold Coast. Unfortunately, he didn't come back to the surface within the expected time. Sometime later, a person snorkeling discovered that Alex was unconscious on the seabed and brought him out of the water at around 10:40 a.m. The snorkeler alerted nearby surfers, who quickly sought assistance from lifeguards to bring him ashore. Once out of the water, the lifeguards began performing CPR on Pullen for approximately 35 minutes, while paramedics provided urgent medical treatment. Alex's girlfriend, Elodie Flug, and her mother arrived at the distressing scene after noticing the presence of paramedics on the beach. Curious about the commotion, they went down to the beach and realized that Alex was in serious jeopardy. They witnessed the efforts made to revive him, but unfortunately, Alex could not be saved. Tragically, he was officially declared deceased just before 11:15 a.m. Despite being an experienced spear fisherman, it's believed that he might have experienced a medical issue while underwater, as there were no visible signs of injury. However, because he was wearing a weight belt at the time but not using an oxygen supply, some people speculated that he might have encountered a condition called shallow water blackout. This occurs when a person loses consciousness because their brain doesn't receive enough oxygen after holding their breath underwater for an extended period. It's important to note that this condition can affect anyone who holds their breath underwater, even physically fit swimmers. It's particularly observed among competitive swimmers, Navy SEALs, snorkelers, spearfishermen, and those who engage in freediving. This was the first freediving marathon on this channel. Let us know what you think in the comments section. If you enjoyed watching, take a dive on the like and subscribe buttons and hit the bell icon so you get notified when we come back with another exciting diving story.